Hey guys, this is Helene. So don't worry, this is not the video, it's just a quick little intro. So before I get started, I just want to let you know this will probably be the last one in this series for a while. If some of you have been following me on my channel for a while, you know that I've done two other ones in this series where I find my old stories and read them as certain characters or whatever. The first two were from a literary expert's point of view. And I actually thought I was going to be done with that, but then I just started taking a poetry class this semester for college, and I am loving it. Honestly, I think it's probably one of my favorite classes I've ever taken, like ever, in all my school years. I love the professor, he's amazing. But thinking about my poetry class got me thinking about and remembering that I'd actually written poetry back in 3rd grade, and I recently uncovered that. So the poems that are going to be read later on in this video, they are all from me that I had written when I was in 3rd grade. They're very bad. There's a reason I hadn't written poetry until this class now. And again, my poetry professor is amazing, and I love him. He's awesome. But to make it a little more interesting, I am going to, instead of just reading out my poems to you guys normally, I'm going to be reading out the poems to you guys as if I were that one professor or teacher we all hated who's grading students' papers. Y'all will know. As you start watching the video, you'll be like, oh yes, I had a teacher who did just that. Oh, I hated that teacher, right? I don't know, just for some fun comedy, entertainment purposes. Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do it like that. And again, I'm not saying all teachers are like this. Both of my parents are teachers, and they are amazing teachers. I love them. They're amazing people. But there's always that one teacher, I feel like, and I feel like a lot of people will be able to relate to this video. So anyway, just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way. This is all intended for fun. This is not meant to be taken seriously. Anyway, on to the video. Is this thing on? Oh, okay, yeah, I think we're good. Hello, I am Dr. Professor Ellen Foyer. You may call me Dr. Professor, or you may call me Dr. Professor Foyer. I will not respond to anyone in the comment section who refers to me as Dr. Foyer or Professor Foyer. I worked very hard for my doctorate degree and to become a professor, and I will be addressed and treated as such. Though with the amount of money I get paid by this godforsaken school, you wouldn't even know that I have my PhD. Today, I am going to be doing some grading for one of my particular students by the name of Helene Foy. And this is some poetry that she wrote for her poetry final, and I'm going to be taking you through my grading process. I have my red pen with me. Now I could bring my black pen out, but I don't think I will be needing it, seeing as how I like to focus purely on my students' mistakes and what they could have done better or what they should already know, despite the fact that I taught it to them. If they did not understand it, clearly must be through a fault of their own and not me. So right off the bat in this first poem, I can see that it is definitely not written with a number 2 pencil, so automatic -10 for that. So I'm going to begin by reading this poem out loud. I will do my best to get past this egregious cursive, but I might have to dock her a few points. I moved to town. I thought it would be cool to sit on a stool in my very own house, but I kept asking, where's the ore or the sandy shore? And everyone looked and passed by or said, my, why do you look for shore and ore? I sat down confused and not very amused till someone came by to say, hi, I think. He said, I am Mr. Fillmore, but why do you try to find ore? Oh, by the way, the population of ore went down in the town, but the population of ore on the shore went up, up, up. I also have a pup that drinks out of a cup. There's my coach. Bye. Don't forget to sleep with your mouth closed or a fly might come by. That's my story of the move. I hope I never have to meet Mr. Fillmore again till, whenever I want, I can shoo him out the door. I wish I never had to read a poem by this student again. I wish I never had to read any poem by my students again. But unfortunately, I am a poetry professor, so that comes with the job. Well, despite the fact that I handed out a rubric at the beginning of the year, frankly, I have no recollection of what was on that rubric. It was honestly just a template I found online. So my grading system, honestly, just depends on my mood. And if I remember correctly, Helene Foy did come in late to class by 10 minutes and interrupted my invigorating lecture about one of Shakespeare's finest sonnets. Had it been a Walt Whitman poem, perhaps I would have been more forgiving, but I think we are going to award this poem a solid D. I might add a D- depending on how I'm feeling by the end of this horrifically thick stack of poetry. The next poem, Mo and Joe. Oh, I can already tell this will be thrilling. I have two little puppies that like to chase guppies. Their names are Joe and Mo. They chew on each other's toes. So, guppies are sea creatures, and I have never seen a puppy chase a sea creature. I'm going to give this one an automatic F because I've never seen this happen before, so obviously it can't have happened if I haven't witnessed it with my own eyes, so automatic F for lying, but we will continue reading this because I have to. They have toys, but prefer boys as they bring them many joys. Oddly creepy, but I know what brings me joy is a nice cup of plain black tea by the fire on my own after a long day of work, reading Shakespeare's finest sonnets. They come with me to a Broadway play, but dogs can't stay, so I tie them to a pole. Oh, speaking of Broadway, if any of you viewers who are watching are of the type who consider songs to be poetry, I abhor you and your entire ilk. Songs cannot be considered poetry, neither should they ever be considered poetry. Poetry is poetry, and only poetry written by the old classic authors are considered classical, good, successful poetry. But dogs can't stay, so I tie them to a pole. A little mole pops out from the ground. Moles do not pop out of the cement, which I assume is where the dogs were tied up to the pole on. The puppies pull, the puppies tug. When they are loose, they run over a man's mug. I'm assuming the man was perhaps begging on the street corner with a mug of change set out, which, incidentally, if Helene Foy plans to make any living with writing, it's much in line with where I see her future headed. I come out from the play, I catch the dogs and tell them to stay. They play all the way home. Then they play with the garden gnome. I foamed. Foamed with anger, I suppose, which, much like what I'm doing now, only internally, because I have no emotions and I have not had any emotions for the past 10 years. my doctorate degree took all that from me, along with my enormous pile of student loans that I have yet to pay off, despite being a doctor and a professor. The lily pads, number 1. The lily pad floats on the water, so daintily, so gracefully, so flawlessly. What if the lily pad broke away, flowed down the stream, then came several more? The team would go over a waterfall. Sun plus water makes them glisten. Sun plus water makes reflection, a blinding light. Staring at the stream is actually what gave me my enormous cataracts. They would glide across the pond, they would sail down a brook, they would fly across the sea. So lily pads don't fly. I don't care if she's trying to use descriptive imagery here. This is not realistic, and I am docking 5 points for that. Then with a splash they would land on their starting spot, and then they would clog up the water until a child pushed them and they all landed on top of the stream. That was disappointingly mundane in nature and even more disappointingly mundane in form, so I am giving this a C-. The lily pads number 2, oh joy, because I so enjoyed the first one. The lily pad floats on the water so daintily, so gracefully, so flawlessly. What if the lily pad broke away and then with a team flowed down the stream? So she's trying to rhyme here, and the rhyming is, once again, disappointingly mundane. Disappointing attempt in general. And then went down a waterfall. The sun makes them beautiful, one and all. A slightly improved sentence over sun plus water makes them gleam, or whatever that was, but still disappointing and rather basic. They would be fond of the pond they glide across. They would sail down a babbling brook from which water they took. I don't understand that one, so it must be a typo. -10. They would fly across the sea. They would be free. I would like to be free of this imprisonment of my drudgery life and the dark bleakness of my perpetual longing for friends, relationships, joy, and even the simplest of forms. But I digress. They would fly across the sea, they would be free. Then with a splash they would land on a pile of sand next to their own stream. Then the team would jump in, they would clog up the stream until a child came to push the team. I do not understand what the team is. I have never understood what the team is, even from the lily pad number 1. I was assuming it meant lily pads, but how do lily pads jump into a stream? I do not understand this, so automatic failure. This is a haiku, and you can see here clearly Helene Foy has no understanding of how haiku is actually spelled. Well, -10 right there. What happened to my light? Oh, bother. Dreadfully inconsiderate. There goes my lighting bill. Bananas hanging on top of the tree limbs here. My mouth does water. My mouth does frown and scream with the unmitigated fury that grading these stupid students' papers brings to me. But it's fine. Oh. She won't notice. We'll go with a C instead of C minus, and then she won't notice the wrinkles. Oh my goodness, I'm not even halfway through this. Honestly, I think I might just make them all C pluses? No, C's. Yeah, I think we'll just mark them all C's so I can go ahead and finish this. I am done grading for today. Teacher's gotta do what a teacher's gotta do. Especially Professor Doctors. I have a date after this, the first date I've had in 4 years. So I need time to throw on my formal blazer and perhaps unearth the Oxford shoes from the back of my closet. So that is the end of our video. I hope you were thrilled and I hope you took a lot away from this video. Please do subscribe and comment, though I do ask that any comments you do put down below are insightful at the very least. I am going to go ahead and average up all of these grades, but I'm not a math professor, so I don't actually average them with a calculator, I just guess. I'm guessing the total grade here will be a solid D, so I'll just go ahead and input that into the grading system. Yeah. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and go read a poem, particularly Shakespeare, the Bard. He's quite a poet. I'd recommend looking him up. Thank you again for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one, if I ever get invited back, if I do not go bankrupt from my student loans before the school sees fit to give me a raise and my salary as Dr. Professor. Anyway, I have a date to go on, so I will see you later. Goodbye. Where is the... Wait, I'm confused. Oh, yeah, there we go.